All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I'm gonna take a look at maybe four, give or take five stocks on this one. We'll do BBAI. I want to talk about Weeble. I want to talk about QBTS. There's a couple I do want to flash that we got a lot of discussions going on the Discord. ALLR is a good one. Hims with a really solid day, and maybe I'll give that one a little bit more time. There's a bunch of really good setups right now going on, and really, I normally talk about the tickers first, but there's a lot to love on the indices right now. Look at this Dow Jones candle, monster gap up. All right, look at it. The high of the day. Can you see the box right there in the on the side? The high of the day was $45,015.64 to the exact penny. That was the high of the day, right? There is literally no wick on the top. It was a beautiful buy day on the Dow Jones with still a very healthy RSI at 57, right? SP 500 getting a little bit of that Dow Jones love right there, and again, still a healthy 70. NASDAQ, again, a little further distant away from the Dow Jones, but hey, that's still a solid candle right there, right? So I'm really liking all the indices. I'm liking the Dow Jones catching up. And again, with the Dow Jones looking as nice, it's really why I wanted to talk about HIMS today. Awesome candle, retesting our golden line, basically resetting the lower indicators with the MACD back in the positive, green over red on both. Really good volume day, and first one since July really started, right? And honestly, you can even go back till, my goodness, probably this little May run that we had, right? So really liking all the lower indicators down here, really liking the Dow Jones. And again, HIMS, I know it's an online platform, but this is a pharma company. And when I think pharma, I'm thinking Dow Jones a lot, right? Maybe some people will disagree there, but that's just me right there, right? So but yeah, HIMS is one I wanted to flash. I'm gonna start with BBAI, and I mean, look, I know this doesn't look like as big a candle. I know this doesn't look as big a percentage, and really, even the volume's been a little bit of an issue. But this was an important day. This was a day that on the Discord, I mean, I just started talking about it and just talking, and like we were just going, and I saw the setup, and we're gonna talk about that 784 line, but this is a really important candle right here, and this is what needs to set up tomorrow to do well. All right, we're still in my 50-50 zone, right? I said I was going to delete these lines, the yellow one and the red one, because really those lines don't matter. It was this single line, and that's the next one up, right? But if you go back a couple of videos, maybe I'll bookmark one right here. You'll see why those are there, right? But we're still in this 50-50 zone. Hopefully tomorrow sets up that break, and really I'm gonna talk a lot about this single candle right here on the 1 minute chart. All right, my videos are daily and weekly, right? But I'm gonna talk about that 1 minute for sure. Okay, when we look at bull, there is a lot to like. And I was loving that 3 day setup right there. I was loving that volume right there. All of a sudden, there was an offering headline. Definitely slowed down some momentum, but hey, 8 moving average seems to be doing the job. Volume is definitely holding. A little odd to see red over green, even though we have green over red there. But again, this is why we have multiple indicators, right? So there's an interesting setup, and I think it was the last thing I said on the Discord. Tomorrow seems like a fly or die here, a fly or die day here on bull. So definitely well worth eyes. And then I think QBTS is kind of the last one I want to talk about for sure on the video. If I got time, maybe I'll add a couple more. But this is a good setup right here, right? And you can see it. We've been battling this golden line since May, right? Trying to can't confirm, trying to can't confirm, trying to can't confirm, trying to even that can't confirm. But this is a solid setup right here, liking these lower indicators. And again, what I think is the theme across all these videos is volume was an issue, and hopefully volume is going to come back and do what it did on stocks that really are familiar with volume and know what to do with it when it comes, right? So that's the common theme on the 1 2 3 with BBAI, QBTS, and Weeble. All right, and then again, I talked about the indices right there. Cool, I like this right here. So before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But hey, even just being here, anything you do or nothing you do, I really do appreciate you so much. All right, so let's get into BBAI. And the first thing I want to call out is I actually sold BBAI maybe a week ago at this point. I sold it somewhere around here at the 7 mark. I remember saying, hey, there's a good chance it'll make a 10% gain and try to get to this. Obviously, it went even a little higher than that, right? But the big thing you hear me talk about all the time is confirmation, right? This one too was definitely a real interesting fake out. It's been a couple days since I've made videos, so I'm trying to like cover a few things, and I'll talk about today for sure, right? But generally speaking, I always say when you have a couple dojis in a row and then you get a good candle, that should be enough to tell you the truth right there, right? Obviously a tough couple days behind it, and really the couple days behind it were volume issues, right? We never got back to the white line, let alone the fact that we just kept going down, right? And even this day, if I'm looking at it, yeah, look at this. The volume was 136.4. The white line, the average 50 was at 139, right? So all of these days had been under the white line. This was the single one that was over it, and lo and behold, we've stayed under it, right? So this for sure was a tough fake out candle, right? But I think the easy thing to say is even if I stayed, I would have gone from down here to up here. So in a lot of ways, you could say it was a bad sell. I think the important thing is, hey, I am for sure not perfect here. You hear all these like people on YouTube and like other places be like 90%, 80% accuracy. Yo, I definitely make more mistakes than I do good things. Knock on wood, and I think I did. I did better stuff with my money when I sold, right? But the point is we look for the moments to attack, get back in and go. And I think it's this candle right here that signals it. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the Discord just to give a little bit more insight on what I was thinking. Where was this comment? Okay, so it was just before power hour. Again, I live on the West Coast, right? So 1 o'clock is when it ends for me. 12 o'clock is that 3 to 4 power hour. That is when BBAI caught my eye. It was a small candle, but it looked important, and I was hoping it set up the last hourly, okay? I then go on to say BBAI, $7.84 is the line to break. All right, look, I always talk about the daily and the weekly. I want to come into the 1 minute chart. All right, I'm gonna draw, nope, not that way, this way. 184 is right there, right? 185. Again, we're not here for perfect. That's the line, 184. Good candle over it, none of those confirmed. Good candle over it, doji don't count, but that's an interesting doji. All of a sudden, we've broken it and then we're gone, right? I even went on to say, give me a sec. This is all me typing. This is it breaking right here. I actually care less about the close, all right? It's all about tomorrow, all right? And really, hey, this was an even better close than I expected. Don't get me wrong, right? But what I cared about was down here, okay? Volume, and I'm coming back to the daily now. Volume's been an issue, right? I literally just said for the last, for the last 9 trading days, all right? That's going into a 3-week window of trading, right? We've only had a single day that was over the 50-day average. All right. Again, you hear me say it all the time. You need volume for a stock to go up. That's baseline. And at the minimum, you gotta at least do a little bit above average. Because once you start doing a little bit above average, hopefully you'll start doing more than average and blah, blah, blah. And it just goes from there, right? That's when you saw me doing these things, right? So this is the day that's making me believe the volume might come tomorrow. And what I got excited about was this moment right here. This was the candle that broke. Look at the box over there. This opens at 785. It's only a penny. It's only a penny, but that was the line it needed to break, right? It opens right here, a penny over, and then goes. And I mean, I literally say it right here. Like, look at that 1 minute volume and look at the time right there. Because for me, it was a minute. I'm sure it just updated after, but it's still flooding in even as I type it. That all that was in that single minute right there. And then it ended with me saying it has to come tomorrow. What that means to me is this, and really I kind of like the fact that it happened right here, right? I obviously didn't know just yet. It was a few minutes after, but this made me believe in this single minute. This, look at all the minutes in the whole day. Look at it, right? Like all of these are single minutes, right? This was the single minute that made me think volume's about to come tomorrow. I might be completely wrong. And again, like I said, I like that it actually came, and I like that most of those candles at the end of the day, and actually literally all of them since right here were over the white line, right? But what needs to happen is we got to break that right there, right? So, oh, this thing's freezing on me. Give me a sec. Come on, baby, don't lag. Come on, baby, don't lag. I'm going to pause this real quick because I don't want you to sit here while it lags. I apologize. Okay, cool. We're back. Sorry about that. So, all that said, let's talk about tomorrow. Let's delete this 784 line because we don't need that anymore, right? So, let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow starts down here, all right? We need the volume to be more than 146 million shares. All right, that's a lot more than today, right? And oof, it's not going to be easy, but this is the requirement. I'm obviously going to give you a money line up here. You know I will, but I'm telling you, nothing's going to happen if the volume doesn't do it. What I'm actually clicking on is 166, and I think that's the line I like. It's just a little bit more than the actual white line, and there were actually days where we were around that 160 million. I think that's a realistic number. So let's bring out the trusty calculator. I need 160 million shares in a 7-hour trading day. We need 23 million shares per hour. All right. We need to be around 50 million shares by that second hour of trading tomorrow. That's most of what we got all day today, right? So it'll be a significant volume day. If volume will do that, the rest will take care of itself. All right, because again, like I said on the last videos, we have been in this 50-50 zone. The true line is this line right here. And even if you look at just this line, we still haven't confirmed, right? That's a good candle. All of those are dojis. Red candles don't count. That was actually the first real candle over this line because even that one was under it. And then again, obviously we haven't confirmed just yet. The one beautiful thing is, look, at the same time, this is the first candle under the 8. We don't confirm the loss of the 8, and all of a sudden we're actually back over the 8. Looks like the 20 moving average finally came to help too, right? So there are technical things happening right now. There are good things happening on this chart. The MACD never really slipped into a crazy negative. The issue is this volume, right? And if we can get that 50 million shares in 2 hours, that roughly 23, 24, 25 million shares in the first few hours, in that first hour, oh man, that's what's going to come and bring good things, right? Because from there, my next white, again, I'm going to delete these 2 lines eventually, right? The white lines are the only ones that really matter right now. I just gave a little extra detail for this. If we confirm we're going to 980, that's too high. I think I'm cool with just that. 816 is really what I'm looking for tomorrow. Obviously, more than 816 would be beautiful. But if you give me $8.16, that'll be my candle confirmation. Maybe 840 is probably the better line as I'm kind of seeing where I'm clicking. Let's do between 840, and 820. I think something in that range I'll call confirmation. What I sincerely care more about is the volume. All right. We can't go, and I think this is the better view. You can see it a lot more. You can't go this many days with only what it looks like the middle finger right now is coming to, like, volume is saying F you. We need a good one for us to say it back to volume, right? You know, I do my best to never curse on these videos. You never know who's going to get offended by what, but yeah, I had to at least call that out. We need better volume. I can't stress it enough. I really, really can't stress it enough. Look, this isn't a bad weekly chart either, right? We're still at only a 77 on the RSI. That's a beautiful MACD with great divergence. It's the volume that's the issue. But hey, at least the weekly volume is doing the job, right? We still have a couple days trading, and I think assuming 10 million shares is going to come is a fair assumption, right? So weekly volume is at least still there, you know, in a lot of ways, knowing that that's a pretty healthy RSI if you're thinking a little bit longer than short term, right? But yeah, I spent more than I wanted to on this one. In some ways, I don't know if I want to make this an individual video, but yeah, I think that's going to be the plan, and then I'll cover a couple others on a different one. So let me just do SoundHound, I guess, real quick, because I think I have this stuff to do an easy Facebook post, so, or YouTube post. Wow. This is a decent chart right here. Okay, the one thing I've been saying over and over again on SoundHound is, and again, it's the same thing I just said on BBAI. Volume makes things go do this, right? When your volume is this much higher than that white line, amazing things will happen. Once you start going well below the line and basically just at the line, you kind of start going down in horizontal, right? What is technically good is the 8 and the 20 are going up. And what is technically good is we are, I mean, again, it's just the first candle and we need more, and I'll talk about that in a second, right? But we are actually overall 5 moving averages. This is a positive MACD. I'm a little annoyed both are red over green, right? With BBAI, I was far, I don't even think I mentioned it. Oh, it did happen. I don't think I even noticed it there. Look at that. I'm glad I came back. Maybe it was bull. Was that the one? I know that this was the one where that one was over, but like sometimes I don't care about inconsistencies. Oh, I don't even think I noticed it on BBAI. I don't know why I noticed it here. But again, I think what really ultimately is happening is technicals are actually doing just a little bit better. And I don't know if there's like a 1 minute chart. This is a nice, and I actually really didn't even look at this. I like this 1 minute chart. I'm not even looking up here. It's all of that. I really like that the last 15 minutes were basically at or very much over the volume expectations. Because, hey, if you can do it here, that's going to start to make me believe you're probably going to start the day with that, right? And we were a lot closer to the white line with SOUN than we were with BBAI. So that also kind of makes me start to think, hey, SOUN has a decent shot at getting enough volume that it needs to retest this. And I think this is the easy target right now. I think it's going to go for that 1260 tomorrow. If it breaks that 1260, you can see I'm basically looking for 1520. And I would use this. Yeah, it's the open of that right there. It really needs to get over 1310. I think you get over 1310, it'll be real hard to stop that 15 number. But yeah, tomorrow feels like a golden line test, and really same thing I said with BBAI. It's the volume expectations that really are dictating a lot more of this, with that nice technicals I'm seeing and the good indices. And I think this was actually a really solid video. I'll probably make this one a knowledge center. I think this is a nice way of showing volume is king, right? Volume's queen for the ladies out there, right? And you can see how important a single minute candle of volume got me wildly excited on this thing. All right, so let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree, oh, I appreciate you so much.